What's up, guys? We'll get to that at a later point. Today's video, we're gonna be going over track day. Let me tell you about the story I had to do back in my day. We had a race 15 miles uphill both ways in snow and rainy conditions. So this is gonna be the upcoming video that you're gonna see. We're gonna be installing the Legends Air Ride monoshock onto FXLR Ron Burgundy. As we stated, we're gonna be reviewing over track day. You're gonna be seeing some track footage from this last weekend out at MSR Houston. We did our track day with ridesmart. That is a ride school organization. They have different level tiers as we discussed in the previous video. And man, oh man, was it a blast. So much fun. At first, I had a little bit of anxiety. We had that kind of anxious, excited, you're not sure what to expect. Like, oh dude, this is a freaking track day. You're not sure of the other bikes that are gonna be out there. Or if it is your first time, you will be in the classroom. It's essentially classroom track, classroom track, classroom track, classroom track for about 4 to 5 sessions. And they go over several things in the classrooms. Definitely check it out. But if you're North Texas, South Texas, super far East Texas, super far West Texas, check them out. There is a track relatively close to you. The Houston track from us here in North Austin was about 3.5-hour drive. We loaded up everything inside the van, went out there, hit the track. It was myself, Oscar, as well as Cody out of San Antonio. Oscar ended up getting his bike back the night before. He had a little bit of a hiccup. He ended up breaking his bike out just a tad bit, and he finally got it back. And he finally got it the day before track day. Rode it out the morning of. Showed up. I was already camped out there the night of. So one of the things that you will need to bring, depending, just always pack it, is going to be off, you know, bug spray. Because that was the one thing we forgot. We had a checklist. I mean, we itemized stuff to make sure we didn't forget anything, and we forgot to add that to the list. And man, it was just mosquitoes left and right the size of horses, because they're everything bigger in Texas. And with me unloading everything from my van, I had the van doors open, the lights on, and I had a whole bunch of bugs in there that we ended up just swatting a bunch of stuff with a towel right before bed. And we also noticed that the battery bank that we got does not last an entire night. I thought maybe it had a safety feature where after so many hours of using it, it just idles off, but no, it just did not do it, because on the way back, we had a little bit of an odor of gasoline, and I tried opening up the vent, but it wasn't doing anything. And then when I inspected the battery, because my bike kind of tipped over a little bit inside the van, that I realized the battery bank was dead. So unfortunately, the 250 one that we got does not last all night. So if you are looking for a camping type power bank, go with the other option. That's $500 roughly. The one that we got was around $200, $250. It gets the job done for your day-to-day use if we're just kind of in there, but you could charge it while you're driving. That is one option. And they also sell solar panels on top of that. That when we were racing, etc., I could have set the solar panels out and then let it recharge the battery, but that takes about 17 hours with one panel. I think it's 9 to 12 with 2 panels. And the panels themselves are pretty expensive. But diving back into track day, you're gonna need your basic essentials. Depending on which organization you go with through ridesmart, your first time is 50% off. They have several promo codes in the frequently asked questions, something on the left-hand tab. And then all your leather rentals are free with the exception of the gauntlet gloves. You only need to bring a set of gloves. You borrow them from a buddy or you purchase them. There are plenty of options out there. You have your built brand, which is your most affordable one. And then you have your other ones tiered up depending on brand and depending on what they bring for quality of the glove. The classroom portion, we jumped in, got the PowerPoint. They go over the flags on what you may see and what to expect from the general track day. That those consist of yellow flags, both static and dynamic, where pretty much if they're moving or if they're holding it. You have your red flags, which means get off the track, someone's injured, or bike failure, where it's not safe for people to continue. And then you also have your black flag, which means that you did a no-no, that for shame, they'll follow you. That's funny because they said you'll know you get a black flag because they'll point at you and they'll follow you across the track, and it's pretty funny. And then you have your checker flag, which means wherever you're at, pit out. And that was probably one of the coolest feelings, was being able to pit out. And you could even do, I can't remember what they call it, I think it's a hot pit, where if you get bunched up and people are going super slow, you can do a hot pit where you just kind of pit out and you just roll through slowly, and then you come out and then you're either behind them, or if they're still going that slow, they'll be behind you and you can just go ahead in front of them. It was so awesome. Some people did get hurt, unfortunately, but they were in the higher levels, and as well as some of the people in our group, they just went a little bit too spicy and they went off into the grass. But it was all good fun that we were able to talk about in the classroom and went over. The instructors were great. And I want to give a huge shout out to ASO. If you know, you know. That they answered a lot of my questions leading up to track day as to how to prepare my bike, what to expect, what are some things that I should start doing to prepare myself. Pretty much hydration was key, and some of the things to bring along: lots of water, lots of Gatorade, Pedialyte if it was more of a summer day, because even we were drinking water and Gatorade, we felt dehydrated around lunch. So I ended up putting a cold wrap around my head, put my hat on, sunglasses, just chilling, and then drank a lot of water, drank a lot of Gatorade, and I had a banana and an apple. Just that way it could kind of resustain my energy, so that way I could bring my energy levels back up, and if I was starting to get dehydrated, it kind of curved that, and then I just drank a lot of water. But pretty much after each session, if you're not going to the restroom to go pee, you're not hydrating enough. And at first it felt like that, but I think I kind of got comfortable and then weaned off the water a little bit, and next thing you know, I started feeling dehydrated. So again, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. The overall track was interesting. I think by the third or fourth turn, I verbalized to myself, I was just like, yo, this is amazing. It's just completely different than riding street. That you have your local roads that are your favorite, your go-tos, the popular roads that are extremely fun to ride, but again, you're always thinking, oh, you know, is there a car coming around this corner? Is there gonna be a biker? Those bicyclists that are cycling throughout, like the really narrow roads, they always pick the most narrow, most daunting, just scariest roads that you can imagine. Like, oh, I want to ride that. Sure, there's gonna be traffic. Cool, they'll have to watch out for me because there's so many blind turns. It's not even funny. Or about wild game coming across, or coming across stranded motorists or cars stopped in the middle of the road and bam, or getting speeding tickets. That's never any fun. But this, it was completely different because that you're only thinking of the track of your bike. Everything else is just. And even then, it's still a lot to think about because you're coming to a turn. They teach you about lines. They teach you how to approach, and then also trail braking. I really improved on my trail braking, because as the day progressed from our first run, which was the round robin, to the last couple runs where they're pretty much just like, go work on stuff, and then you'll go with instructors here and there, but so sick. It was just, now granted, on a Harley, the body movements are a whole lot more exaggerated because it's a lot heavier of a bike. It just wants to go straight, so you have to pretty much lean it. And then we have a lot more hard parts that aren't meant to really lean that way. Mostly just because we have big old pedals, but luckily they're spring rated, so they will flex up. If need be, they won't dig into the ground and eventually catch. That's why you don't really want to drag too many hard parts, because eventually the more hard parts you drag, eventually it's going to be less tire, more hard parts, and then low side. Or if one of the hard parts catches, it's going to catch, and then you high side, and that is never any fun. Because low sides hurt enough, I can't imagine adding a impact to the slide, because we have our baby road rash here from a low speed slide on a smaller Grom, and it hurt. You know, I felt it for a couple days, up to a week, mostly just the road rash with the wind hitting when we would ride. Oh man, that was not fun at all. But I definitely see us doing more track days, that our tires got nice and worked. It was just so awesome. For the front suspension, we are running the Progressive Suspension heavy duty springs. We also have a heavier weight fork oil in the front. And then we're still running the stock lowrider monoshock, but we do have a bunking lift extension. We got this Legend monoshock air ride from Hardcore Cycles. Again, huge shout out to Hardcore Cycles. This will be a Hardcore Cycles featured video that's coming up after this one. So be sure and check it out. Check them out on Instagram. But we purposely left this off of track day because we got this, I think, Monday or Tuesday before, the week of. And I could have probably installed it, but I also wanted to do a quality video for y'all. That way we can take our time and try to get as many angles as possible without trying to rush. Oh, we still gotta do this. Because even though we planned it for so long, getting ready for track day, we were so, we don't have enough time, we're running out of time, this and that. And it was just like packing was just a nightmare. I overpacked like usual. It's also because I messaged the Legends. I tried finding everywhere on their site, their YouTube videos. I was doing my homework everywhere. It doesn't say the height of this shock. Now this is where it kind of gets interesting. They said that their shock is meant to be as close to the stock as possible. 12.5 is the size of your FXLR shock, and most Harley shocks tend to be in the 12 to 12.5, so just go with 12.5 as your height. Which is interesting because King and Crown on Instagram, he runs it on his FXLR. He did a crazy job on his, got new tins, did Dyna front tubes like we did. We now have Dyna front tubes, and then he did the Legend Air Ride shock here on the back. But his rear tire also looks like there's a bit of a gap. He's also running Shinko, so that may be it. That will have less of a gap, I believe, because we're running 180s. I think the Shinkos are maybe 160 or 165 on his. But the reason that we didn't want to install it was because right now we're at roughly 13.25, roughly. The bunking shock extension says it's supposed to lift 2-inch lift, but I don't see it. It did lift it barely, but I think it's because it's a lowrider and how the seat sits, it doesn't feel that tall, so it's going to be interesting to see the difference. I do want to find other GoPro mount areas where I can mount it so we can see our lean angle and just a different angle, because we just have the ones from the bars and then one from our chin, which is really overall, it was a really great experience. Again, if you do a track day, if you're thinking about it, I highly suggest you do it. 10 out of 10, it was one of the greatest things I've done. It was so much fun. Again, you probably don't want to go the way I did because I was just throwing money. But again, I want to invest in doing this more often because we ended up getting a canopy and a whole bunch of things to make our track day a whole lot more enjoyable. And then we also picked up an extra chair as well as a cooler that we could have all our drinks well kept. And again, a lot of stuff we still got it on sale, but it's still added up. And I want to give a huge shout out to Metzler. We messaged them and they provided us a fresh set of tires, which went a long way. They were so grippy, so great. Oscar was also running the same tires, did not ever feel his tires slip. I thought they were great. They're the tires I run before the track day, and I knew I wanted to have them try for track day. So we shot them a message, just asked them, hey, would y'all be interested? They said yeah, and so it was really awesome. Again, huge thank you to Metzler. Follow them on Instagram, check them out on their site. And we also ended up picking up a full suit, gloves, and boots, as well as a couple undershoots. Putting on your suit so much easier on and off. That even then, because my suit I think is one size too small, but now that it's breaking in, it feels good. It's nice and tight. When I'm on the bike, it keeps me well, but when I'm standing up and putting the suit on, it's kind of where I have to squat. I do this weird dance, and to put it on and to take it off, I do one arm. I'm kind of struggling, trying to take it off, and I get one out, and it's like, cool, dope, and I can do the other one. If you are in the Texas area and you want to experience a track day, or if you're outside the Texas area, come on down. You know, just saying, Morrow, if you're down here, let's hit Coda, dog. They have several tracks scattered around. You have Crescent, you also have MSR Houston, which is what we just did, and then you have Coda, Circuit of the Americas. The next track we are going to be checking out is going to be Crescent up in Waco. Not sure when. I know they have one in October. I'm kind of just eyeing it. That if the old second stimulus comes through, we're probably gonna send some of that money that way. That's gonna do it for this week's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure and hit that like button. If you found any value from it, hit that subscribe button. And while you're there, bump on over and hit that bell to be notified of any future videos when they drop, as soon as they drop. And until next time, appreciate y'all. Ride safe, have fun. Cheers. Hey, dog.